26 of this 118 who were over the limit, 26 resulted in no charge, and 65 resulted in a reduced charge. And you can see, despite the size of the sample set, there was a significant number of people who'd taken advantage of this, as the Minister described in her second reading speech, this significant loophole in the current regulatory regime. So the evidence is there, I would say, Acting Speaker, that this is an issue that needs to be tackled, that this is a loophole that needs to be closed. And when you look at the contributions that have been made from all members so far, that becomes patently obvious, right? It becomes patently obvious. But can I make this point? It's the McGowan Labor Government that's getting on with the job of fixing this, but it's also the McGowan Labor Government which understands, appreciates and recognises that there is no one-size-fits-all approach, that these are complicated, difficult issues that require nuanced, idiosyncratic, sophisticated, mature and intelligent responses. Right? This is a government that is uniquely placed to tackle road safety issues. And I know that because I can list a dozen ways in which this government and members of this government are dealing with the issue of road safety. This government is busting congestion by encouraging people out of their cars and into alternative methods of transport. I see in the chamber the member for Thornley, who has been an excellent advocate, and I acknowledge him today as we are in the midst of Bike Week, a fantastic advocate for the greater uptake of cycling in our community. If we can get people out of their cars and onto alternative modes of transport, like public transport or riding to work, by initiatives such as Bike Week, we are reducing congestion on our roads, which in turn reduces traffic congestion. We've seen the announcement this week of the government's investment in locally manufactured buses, to get more buses onto those bus routes so that travelling by public transport becomes a more attractive proposition. WA-made, WA-built buses for WA patrons on an expanded public transport system. This government is building MetroNet to provide people with the opportunity to access rail transport. And in the neighbourhood, in the community, in the electorate of Mount Lawley, we know that the construction of MetroNet will ease congestion on our local roads as it takes the pressure off Mitchell Freeway, as it takes the pressure off Wanneroo Road, Walcott Street, Alexander Drive, Beaufort Street and Guildford Road. This government is making it safer for cyclists to use our main arteries by investing in the Principal Shared Pathway program. This government's making it easier and safer for cyclists to use our roads. This government is investing in congestion-busting infrastructure, and in my own neighbourhood, in the member for Balcatta's neighbourhood, in the member for Morley's neighbourhood, this government is investing significant amounts of money to fix the congestion at the corner of Morley Drive and Wanneroo Road. And further south, where the member for Perth, his electorate joins those of Balcatta and Mount Lawley, significant investment in Wanneroo Road, Charles Street, Green Street and Walcott Street. The significant investment in these congestion-plagued intersections will actually make our streets safer as drivers become less frustrated. The 40km/h time trial in the City of Vincent, which has been supported by the local member, the member for Perth, and also supported by the Minister, in order to try and see whether or not this improves road safety as well. We have the wonderful example of Charlotte's Law and the increased penalties that now apply to those with a flagrant disregard for our road rules and a flagrant disregard for the safety of other road users. We have... So I'm just going to recite, let me just dwell on Charlotte's Law, because I think this is a really important issue. The changes were prompted by the tragic death of Charlotte Pemberton, and they're designed to bring penalties into line with community expectations. Another great initiative from the McGowan government in terms of getting law reform right. Miss Pemberton was killed by a man driving a high-powered motorcycle without a valid licence, and I'll come back to the issue of valid licences later, and travelling at 40km/h over the speed limit. Now, the new law lowers the speed threshold to 30km/h and allows police to apply aggravating circumstances for driving whilst unlicensed, suspended or disqualified. Prior to these reforms, a person could only be changed with aggravated dangerous driving in limited circumstances, including driving a vehicle at more than 45 kilometres an hour over the speed limit, driving without the owner's consent, or driving to escape pursuit by a police officer. So very limited circumstances. And so you can see the government has a legislative reform package which is designed to make our roads safer, designed to make the penalties more harsh, and designed to make our laws more reflective of community expectations, which is exactly what you would expect from a McGowan Labor government, given our track record already. We have the impaired driving initiatives in the last budget. The impaired driving is another major contributor to road trauma. I think this issue has been touched upon by both the member for Kalgoorlie, the member for Roe, the member for Armidale. Now, the government is investing in increased roadside alcohol and drug testing, plus a further $1.8 million being made available to increase WA Police Force's driver, breath and drug testing capacity. And this year, WA Police Force are expected to conduct a record number of drug tests. Now, in addition to all of these initiatives, the other thing that we have is passionate and committed local members who are doing what they can for their communities to address the issues that arise. And in my own neighbourhood of Mount Lawley, in the electorate of Mount Lawley, it can be as simple as getting new pedestrian crossing attendants for the local primary school, whether that be a second crossing attendant on Central Ave or crossing attendants on Clifton Crescent at Second Ave, in order to make it safer for parents to walk their children to school without the risk of rat runners coming down these side streets, these neighbourhood streets. It means lobbying our local councils. Members would have seen on the Channel 7 News a couple of nights ago concerns around the accident black spots at 1st and 2nd Ave, the intersection of 1st and 2nd Ave and Carrington Street in Mount Lawley. We've already heard the member for Morley talk about difficult and dangerous intersections on Beaufort Street. And so the McGowan Labor government is blessed with and replete with a number of backbenchers who are aggravating and agitating on behalf of their local communities to make their local streets safer by taking the issue up with local councils. So there is no abrogation of responsibility. It might be that these are roads that fall within the jurisdiction, fall within the bailiwick, fall within the remit of say, the City of Stirling. But that doesn't stop us from taking up the issue on behalf of our constituents and saying, these are important concerns that need to be addressed, these are the things that we're tackling, and that's why we're here to do it. And so this government is uniquely placed because of its intelligent, sophisticated, nuanced and idiosyncratic response to these issues. This government is uniquely placed to speak with authority on the question of road safety.